welcome to our first video about the truck camper build, as well as our first adventure in the truck camper. We actually built the camper on Saturday, and then the following Monday we visited my brother-in-law down in West Virginia. So we went and camped in the truck camper down there. Actually, my younger son and I stayed in the truck camper. My older son took a tent and stayed in a tent with my brother-in-law. So we went down there for the evening, and it was a good time. Actually, everything worked out. The truck camper worked out well. One of the things that we noticed that was unique about our truck camper build is the fact that most truck camper builds that we've seen are usually just for individual single people, or maybe like a couple that's together. So one of the things that we found that was unique with ours is that for us, as a father and son build, we kind of wanted individual sleeping spaces, and that's kind of where we began our truck camper journey. Was actually last year. We built a truck camper with just a cap that we found on Marketplace. We picked it up for free. The original bed platform we actually made out of one-bys, because it was originally just going to be for my 10-year-old son, who's obviously much smaller than I am, which actually brings me to our next unique part, is that my physical size, I'm 6'5" tall, so I'm not little by any means. So that was another challenge that we had to deal with building the truck camper. Is obviously 6'5", trying to fit into a 6'6" bed, so not a lot of room for error as far as sleeping space goes. So the original sleeping platform that we built for my 10-year-old, we built it out of one-bys, and it was just I think we measured like 29 or 32 inches wide is what it came out to be. Just wide enough for him to sleep on, and we basically just built it on the wheel well to kind of to not lose the area around the wheel well. So that worked out well. And then when we went camping, I just ended up sleeping next to him on the actual truck bed between the wheel wells. So this year what we decided to do was, one, we actually got a bigger truck cap. We actually found one that color matches the truck a lot better. It's not a perfect match, but it's pretty close. So we have a color matching truck cap, and it's also a high-rise cap that my father-in-law had. So picked that up from my father-in-law. We actually paid $50 for it. So for the truck cap and the lumber, I think the lumber just for like the 2x4s, and I had some scrap plywood laying around the garage. So I think all in, we're into this for about $70. So nothing to complain about as far as that goes. So from there, that was actually one of the first goof ups that we had when building our truck camper. As I mentioned, the original sleeping platform that we built was built off of just one-bys that we picked up at Lowe's, I believe, if I remember right. But when we went to build the sleeping platform that was going to be mine, we decided, obviously I'm a much bigger guy, so we needed to go with 2x4s instead of just the one-bys. And what we didn't account for was the actual height difference with the one-bys on top of the wheel well versus a 2x4 on top of the wheel well. So we got about halfway through the build of the second platform before I realized, like, oh, wait a minute, this is we're gonna have two different heights here. And obviously, we wanted a level platform so we could have different size sleepings, but we wanted it to be level across the bed of the pickup. So we had to actually go back. We continued to build the same way we were doing for my platform, and then we went back and had to modify his original sleeping platform to make it actually a little bit taller so that they matched up. Instead of having to redo the whole thing, we kind of just wanted to add on to it. The other thing that's nice about that is adding on to it is it's more portable. It's not one big giant assembly. It comes out of there a lot easier with the two different sleeping platforms instead of just one big platform. So when we do need to use the truck for hauling stuff, or what you use a truck for, we can transform it back into our regular pickup fairly easily with the two platform versus the one big one. So as we finished up the build, everything turned out pretty well. Like I said, besides the goof with the different heights, And again, I mentioned, you know, we had some spare plywood laying around the garage just from old projects and stuff like that. So we're trying to keep our build costs pretty low on this one. We don't use it often enough to really justify spending a ton of money. There's a lot of different systems out there you can buy, and like the deck systems, like those are pretty awesome, but they're also pretty pricey. I'm still kind of trying to find one of those on Marketplace, trying to find a good deal on one of those. I think those would be kind of ideal with having, you know, the built-ins into those. But kind of where we're at now, again, just trying to keeping the cost low and keeping it down on the budget, trying to keep it budget friendly as possible. So as I mentioned, we went down to West Virginia to visit my brother-in-law, William. He lives down there in Jane Lou, West Virginia. We had a pretty good time. Everything went pretty well. We got a little fire going and was hanging out and got to spend some time with family down there. Camping wise, everything was pretty uneventful. The sleeping arrangements were pretty good. The only real complaint I had was from my son, who slept in the truck camper with me. We obviously have a smaller mattress there that I slept on, and no issues with that, but my son just had a smaller inflatable air mattress, kind of a pool floaty that we were using more as an air mattress. He did not like that at all. That was not his favorite thing. So he actually mentioned that we need to figure out the bedding situation a little bit better. So we've got like the small twin mattress that's from like an old rollaway bed that we had that we threw in the back. That actually worked out pretty well. So one of the only modifications that we really did to the new truck cap that we picked up, our new used truck cap that we picked up, was we noticed that the inside was pretty dirty, so we gave the inside a pretty good scrub in and then actually gave it a coat of paint. There was just like some funkiness on the roof of the cap, so we just actually had some leftover paint in the garage, again kind of going with kind of our leftover projects theme. We had some leftover paint, so we just threw a coat of paint on the inside, and actually it brightened it up a good bit, and I was really impressed. It was kind of time consuming, just a lot of small areas that you had to really go over 2 and 3 times. Obviously the fiberglass just absorbs the paint, so we used a lot of paint, and it took a lot longer than I had thought, just adding the paint to all the different crevices and trying to get everything, you know, coated and, you know, trimming out, cutting around the windows and trying not to make a big mess in the back of the truck. But it actually turned out really nice. I'm glad we made the decision to paint the cap. So that brings us to the actual truck itself. The truck we've had, gosh, probably 3 or 4 years now. It's a 2007 Chevy Silverado Classic. Just under 150,000 miles on it. It's like 147, 148, 148,000, somewhere in that range right now. We've had it for probably 4 years now, but despite having it 4 years, we've probably only put about 5,000 miles on it. It's not a daily driver. It's more what we use for running to the hardware store. We use it on some of the, some of the more adventure stuff. We have a small utility trailer that we use to pull the ATVs around on, and that type of stuff. So it's definitely not a daily driver. So it is fairly low mileage. So as you can see, it's a very simple setup. There's really not a whole lot to it at this point. And we're kind of seeing how it goes, you know, to see how much more we want to invest, you know, time and money wise into the truck camper. You know, if it's something that we're going to be using more and more of, you know, we may look at adding, you know, lights in the back, maybe, a power source to charge phones and run lights and those types of things. You know, all that. There's plenty of stuff out there as far as modifications and stuff you can add to these things. So again, we'll kind of play it by ear and see how it goes as far as how much we actually use it, to see if it's really justifying how much we want to spend into it. So yeah, thanks for checking out our camper. Let us know if you have any feedback, and be on the lookout. We will be adding more videos.